You want them to know that you're committed, you're smart, and you're capable. How do you want them to feel? You want them to feel like you're going to run through a wall for them and give it an opportunity. They're not going to let you down. And what do you want them to do? You want them to hire you, right? So they kind of be ready for it. Be ready for it, because if you don't believe in yourself, that'll, because your resume is working against you, right? So you gotta own that and be your biggest cheerleader.
Welcome to the top.
Oh, yeah.
We're killing annual quotas. It's the 1%er show, in case you haven't noticed.
Welcome to the top. I'm your host, Paul Salamanca, VP of Sales at Security Scorecard, co-founder of the Top 1%er, a private sales community here in Bravado.
And I'm Tom Bocard, the co-host of the show, SVP Sales at Global Data, co-founder of the Top 1%er.
Today we have a very special guest, Bill Hogan, an advisor to startups, Chief Revenue Officer at Security Scorecard. So Security Scorecard right now is a unicorn. Many people at this point know what a unicorn is. It's a company valued at over $1 billion. But what about a sales leader who has P&L responsibility for over $1 billion? So Bill's had revenue responsibility for over $1 billion, and he helped take one of his previous companies from 800 or so million to over 7 billion in revenue. That's ridiculous. Bill's resume is obviously impressive. We'll talk a little bit about his success here before diving into how Bill actually handles adversity and handled adversity to make it to the top. So Bill, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Tom. Really honored and looking forward to having a great chat with you guys tonight.
That's awesome. And like we were talking about before the show, a lot of our audience members are looking to create the top 1%er mindset. Any tips you have on adversity would be great. But before getting into that, I thought we'd touch on some of your expertise, just so we could get into, let's say, not too many people get to present to the board. I've had less than a handful of experience doing that. It's my first time doing it. Was pretty nerve-wracking. I usually don't get nervous for presentations, but that was the first time I got nervous in a while. Any tips? And I realized by watching you sometimes from afar, you do one thing very, very great that I've noticed. You not only set expectations, but you reset expectations from the outside. When people start to feel like there should be a different expectation, your business so well enough, you reset it and you have the confidence to do that, and you do it really well. Does that come into play? I'm sure that comes into play when you're presenting to the board.
It really does. And I think the board presentation is, it's one of the more powerful meetings you're going to be in, right? But what I find, going back to as a young sales rep, and that I brought through in every stage of my career, is, and you can't always do this, by the way. So I'm gonna give a statement in terms of what I want to be, and then I do my best. We're all human, right? But you really gotta be prepared. You gotta have that commitment to be prepared to do what it takes to win, and that takes time. That takes early mornings. It takes late nights. It takes squirreling in some time on the weekend when you can, while you're still finding your balance, right? I'm not all work. I do plenty of play, and my family's very important to me. Yep. But you got to be prepared, right? So when it comes to and you want to be the best you can be. Plan your day, plan your week, plan your month, plan your quarter, and kind of the way that prioritizes is where do you want to be in a couple of years, a few years, then back into where do you want to be this year, then back into where you want to be this quarter, this month, this week, this day.
Love it.
And when it comes to the board meeting, I put together, and kill my poor ops team, but I put together, could be a 28 to 50 page, depending on the month, monthly biz review every month. And then at the end of the quarter, it really crystallizes. And I do that for me. I do that for my operational command of the business. And then when it comes to the board doesn't want to see my 50 slides. That I assure you, nobody wants to see my 50 slides. But doing that process makes me really prepared, and I can net it out to 1, 3, 5 slides, whatever's required, and hit the salient points. Typically 3 things is all anybody really wants to hear, right? And resetting those expectations properly, and then kind of just continuing to reinforce them. So it's all about preparation and confidence.
Love it. What are the 3 things in the board meeting? You mentioned 3 things.
So really the 3 things, that's for anything, right? So if you're gonna net out, if I'm gonna go to the board meeting, what do I want? What the three things in any meeting or any presentation? It's what do I want them to think? What do I want them to know? Well, really, it's what do I want them to know? What do I want them to? How do I want them to feel? And what do I want them to do? Right. So those are the three things when you're presenting to a group. If you want to capture their hearts and mind, right? And on the board, it's very high level. So you definitely want them to know you've got the business under control, right? They want to instill confidence in them and them in you. You want them to feel inspired, right? You want them to feel inspired. You don't always get that. They're very, very smart, very, very experienced individuals, but you want them to feel inspired. You want them to feel confident that they've got the right leadership and that we're tackling the right challenges. And it's not just all blue skies and sunshine, that we're really on top of our business. And then what do you want them to do? Be honest. You want them to do two things. Sometimes you want them just to go away so you can get back to work. But all jokes aside, like in our current board, we got a really good board. And if I have them confident and if I have them inspired, then I want to put them to work for us. That's my job. My job is to put them to work for us. They give good guidance, direction, oversight, and they're readily available, but it's a once a quarter check-in, and then we kind of check in along the way, and then we go back and we got to run the business. So what do I want them to do? It varies by person, but that's kind of it, right? So here's what I want them to know. Here's what I want you to feel. Here's what I want you to do. And then fill in the blank, fill in the audience.
Love it.
So a question with the prep for you, right? So like, if we're going into sales meetings, we generally, you'll have a champion that you'll lean on to kind of prep with, right? Or you do your research. And once you go into the board, once you get to know them through a couple of meetings, you have that. But how's that the first meeting? How do you know, which numbers or slides to take out of the 50 to bring to them? I mean, how do you prep for something like that?
Yeah, no, it's an evolution, right? But unfortunately, again, you're not a one-man show, right? We have a strong executive team. It's a collaborative effort. As our current CEO will remind me, it's his board meeting, right? He is CEO and chairman of the board, and he's super hands-on. So we all play our part, right? There are times where my part is important, and I take up a big portion of the board meeting. There are times I joke, Alex, I'm just the eye candy today, right? I'm just sitting there. Be confident, wear my suit, look good, and don't worry about it. The key is really, question asked, question answered, right?
Yeah.
They don't really want the answer. Like, this is fun. We can tell some stories and have it, it's kind of all business, have shit together, ask the question that's answered, get the desired outcome that you're looking for, move on, play your role. Generally speaking, my advice to anybody when you make a career move is you got to look at it minimally as a 2 to 3 year commitment. Ideally 3 to 5. I know the world's changed a bit, but you have to look at it that way. Because if not, at the first sign of adversity, you're out, right? I see that a lot in the security industry. I don't like it. Very candid, I don't like it. But in this particular situation, there was that, right? And then there was even above. There was, we had a lot of talent in that group, and so he supported me. And I went up to Boston and I met with Harry Dixon, who was the legend of all legends at EMC, and Harry put the full court press on me. They gave me a ridiculous offer. They gave me a crazy stock package. They had a pre-prepared press release that they were ready to announce with my arrival. And, they did it really well. And Harry's a guy who's not used to hear and know, right? And he expected to walk out with a commitment from me. I went up there committing to myself that I wouldn't commit to anything. And it was great. I liked and trusted and respected those guys. Heard them out. And the drive back to New York, I think it's potentially similar challenge at that place. And I was really committed to the people that I was associated with in storage apps and willing to play my role. And I talked with John McCarthy and Eric Mann, and I said, listen, guys, I don't want to go. I can't appreciate enough what you kind of gave me the opportunity to kind of vet out. That's what real sponsorship is. I see so many times, and I stayed. And by the way, 7 months later, we sold the company to Hewlett Packard. Hewlett Packard will be an all-time favorite for me. I can get into that later if you want, but it worked out really well, right? So sometimes the best decisions you ever make as a young salesperson, a young sales leader, is the don't do it decision, the don't do it decision. And, it's hard, but you gotta have confidence in the people that you're working for. I see so many young sales folks make the decision without taking the advantage of talking to people who have a vested interest in their success.
Yeah.
I want what's best for the individuals that work for me. I'd prefer them be with me if that's what's best for them and for me. But if it's not, I want what's best for them.
Love it.
And I see in the chat, I think it's Griffin asked, 3 to 5 year commitment. How do you scope that out? I think there's a couple of parts there. It's like, a lot of people that they'll take jobs for the opportunity that's right in front of them right now. Oh, I'm getting a 20K bump, a 50K bump, whatever that is in salary. And they're not looking at it in that long-term view. Like you got to look, you should be looking 3 years out from a goal and working your way backwards, like you said, no matter what, right?
Yeah.
When you're interviewing at companies, then see where they fit in that 3-year plan. Maybe it is a 1-year layover, but to understand if they're going to be around in 3 to 5 years, you got to ask questions about the product. You got to ask questions about the market. You got to ask questions about the uptick. What is the retention of clients? What are other things that you think would be kind of, I guess, like key levers that you should push on to have confidence that the company's going to be there in 3 to 5 years, barring unforeseen sold or, market falls out, right?
Yeah, no, it's all those things you lay out there are great things for consideration. And again, none of us have a crystal ball, right? Yeah. But, and it's important that you just know what you're signing up for. Like I see too many guys, I got the job. Hey, I got the job. Great. And then, like 9 months later, they're out. Like, what the fuck happened? Here's the cycle that a lot of startups go through, right? It's, they hire a bunch of people, and you get from A round, you get to A round, then you go from A round to B, B to C, C to D, and you're going for that opportunity. I think you got to look at the leadership. You have to look at the tenure. You have to ask what the exit strategy is. Like, where's the company going to be in 3 years?
Yep.
I do want to clarify, in this environment, 2 to 3 years, right? So the 3 to 5 years hard. If you're going to go work for a bigger company, if you're going to consider, HP or one of those like
Oracle.
Or those are the big ones. Those you're making. You should be making probably thinking longer commitment. I'm thinking most people on this phone are not necessarily thinking about those. I'm just guessing, right?
Yep.
But if you're going to go look at even like a Zscaler or a Forescout, a Pure Storage, companies like that, they're smaller still, but they've kind of come out the other side. They're legit. They're real. Multi-billion-dollar valuations, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of revenue. That's a show up and stay there for a little while, right? Get the experience that you need out of it. Yeah, and you got to have mentors. You got to have peers and folks that have been there and done that you can rely on. Because if you're making all these decisions on your own, candidly, you just don't have the experience. And you can get lucky. Going back to your point, Tom, if you're just picking because you need a job, you go on a bunch of interviews, you pick one, you got a job. Okay, that's great. In time, you'll figure that out. As a hiring manager, you see those guys and it's like, all right, they've had 5 jobs in 5 years.
Yep.
To me, that's a big red flag. They can explain it through it, but it's a red flag.
Yep.
For those of you guys, speaking to the audience for a moment, that have bounced around a little bit, right? And you're kind of feeling like, oh, and you're that guy or girl, and it is what it is. Apologize for nothing and go into that next interview and make sure they know why you're going to be the best person for the job. Be prepared to explain. Don't defend. Don't apologize, right? Show confidence, show ownership, show maturity, show what you've learned through the adversity, and have that person feel like, right? What do you want them to know? You want them to know that you're committed, you're smart, and you're capable. How do you want them to feel? You want them to feel like you're going to run through a wall for them and give it an opportunity. They're not gonna let you down. And what do you want them to do? You want them to hire you, right? So they're kind of be ready for it. Be ready for it, because if you don't believe in yourself, that'll, because your resume is working against you, right? So you gotta own that and be your biggest cheerleader.
That the ownership is the key part too.
Yeah.
There's so many people that I interview and I talk to them like, so what, 6 years, 6 jobs. What's going on? And it's, well, this manager sucked. This product wasn't right. That market was there.
It's everyone else's fault.
I'm like, okay, it's my fault for taking this meeting. You got, it's like, just take that ownership, even if it's not. If it really was a shitty product or they had a bad sales process, that stuff, no hiring manager wants to hear that. They want to hear, hey, I didn't do that. Wasn't the right fit for me. I was wrong. I made the wrong choice. I did that, whatever it is. But this is what I've learned from it and why I'm going to be good now. Totally. And taking that accountability is key.
Sometimes you're in a position where you can take a shot. I'll share a story with you guys. If there's one that may get a tear in your eye, or even mine, this one could be it.
Hold on. Let me get this.
Tom likes to cry first.
Give me it.
So this is a tough one. It's a real tough one. But so back in the late '90s, the bond market really started to kind of change a lot, right? And the stock exchange tried to change a lot. Stock exchange went to the decimal system, and the bond market, everything started getting automated. And there was just a glut of individuals that, based on the way that market was, they didn't really develop a portable skill set, right? They were really good at a relationship, and they would buy a steak and they'd get a trade. They would take a guy golf and they'd get a trade. And I'm understating a little bit, but there was a lot of that, right? And a good buddy of mine, I called him my first friend that I didn't marry into in Rockville Center. He was very talented and very smart, good guy, great family guy, could be wildly successful at anything. And he was nervous, and he's like, I got to get out of this business. I got to get out of this business. And I had hired a bunch of those bond guys at EMC, and some of them worked out, some of them didn't. I told them those stories, and at this point I had gone to storage apps. I'm like, listen, dude, you've been bitching about this. You want to make the move. This play's gonna work. Come here, work for me. I'll let you run the inside sales team. No offense, Ronan, but what I said to him was, just show up every day, work hard, and give a good direction on the playbook I give you, and you'll do great. It's evolved since then. So I respect the role, Ronan, don't worry. But hard work can transition well, like super talented guy. And, he was like, maybe, and I said, listen, you do it, then you have the skill, you can go back to Wall Street, you can go into tech sales. I'm in a position right now based on they really wanted me and us, and we kind of had an open checkbook. So I was giving him a nice salary, made it worthwhile to do it. But there was risk, right? So he comes over to my house, we go down to the basement to my bar, talking about it, put the offer letter in front of him. And I could see in his eyes that it wasn't for him, right? He signs it, right? And again, it wasn't like, it was more like, huh. I'm like, Johnny, listen, take this offer letter, go into your office tomorrow, have a conversation with your boss, and say, listen, I got a really good opportunity, but my heart's in this. My heart's in you. I go, but I'm concerned, right? Guy ends up giving him a 2-year contract, buys him a new car. He's a very talented guy. He was, and he stayed. Very unfortunately, 2 months later, he was in the World Trade Center working for Euro brokers, and Johnny Sherry never came back, right? So, it was a shitty career move to come work for me, but when it all worked out, it would have been a pretty good life choice, right? But those type of things don't happen every day. That was a loaded kind of story. But for hiring managers and for situations that you're in, if you're in one of those situations in terms of a career transition, you gotta find somebody that will take a chance on you. Paul, you did. I would have. I've taken chance on tons of people. I've also passed on tons of people, right? I wish Johnny was here, right? I wish Johnny was a shitty inside sales manager with me right here, right now. But that wasn't what happened then.
Yeah.
I'll just give a quick piece. I think you really got to be true to yourself. I got a good buddy of mine. He's a 4-time Emmy Award winner. He fired a customer recently, and his closing line to the customer it was a customer I introduced him 2 years ago, and he made a lot of money off of him. But transition, guy's being a jerk to him, and he goes, "Listen, to thyself be true," right? So know who you are. Like, I know who I am. My work ethic I got from my dad. My dad's a civil servant, worked 2 jobs raising us. You know, I have a penchant for doing the right thing. My moral compass is high. I know right from wrong. I owe that to my mom, right? The seemingly insatiable desire to kind of help other people, I think, comes from my Jesuit education. You know, men for others is our mantra. And I do a lot of charity work. I do a lot of coaching. It's just kind of in my DNA. I enjoy it. It makes me tick. You know, my wife's my daily inspiration to have me wanting to be the best I can be, to be a better person, right? And you know, without her, I could have made some wrong choices along the way, right? These are things we need to know. I've had great mentors, guys like Randy Seidel, Eric Mann, Tom Mendoza, Colonel Eric Kale. These guys were just fantastic mentors to me at every stage of the life, that at a young age too. So you guys, you can get them now, but you have to invest in those relationships, and that makes you who you are. So it's the composite. The questions a lot of asked was, who's the one person? And that's a fair question. When they ask me that question, I give this answer, right?
Yeah.
So I've been told I should just answer the question asked, but you know what? I am me. I'm going to still be me. I'm going to be authentic.
I love it, Bill. And thanks for sharing your story and talking about why staying committed to your success is important to get the most out of not only your sales game, but your life. And as Bill said, know who you are, and people will see it in you too. So I want to thank you, Bill, for joining Tom Bocard and myself, Paul Salamanca, today. See you next Thursday at 6 p.m. And as a wise man, Nas once said, why shoot the breeze about it when you could be about it?
Welcome to the top.
Oh, yeah.
We killing annual quotas. It's the 1% show, in case you haven't noticed.